Charlie, we were just talking about, I was asking you whether you tweeted. As you said, you don't know what to say, and you don't really want to tell the world about whatever you have in mind or have to say. You don't think the world cares. We haven't seen each other for slightly over 10 years. When thinking about getting together today, I kept thinking you are, and I'll explain in a moment, you are Mr. New York tourism. Because when I met you, you were at Gray Line. I remember you telling me about the double-decker bus that I think you had a great deal to do with starting with that concept. And the revenue model was these advertising in the back. I think you got $50,000 or something a week for one of those.
Advertising was a big part of our financial mix, that's for sure.
And Gray Line New York was an amazing organization. Under your leadership, it went through days. I remember when there was some rival new company that started, and they just, they tried all the tricks possible, and it just didn't work, right? And the drivers of buses weren't properly certified, and it just kind of disappeared. You left Gray Line about 13 years ago. Then
Yes.
I remember you went to work for some Harlem
Yes.
organization before Harlem tourism was hot.
Right.
What happened there? I'm just trying to catch up for myself now.
Well, sure. After Gray Line, then I thought I'd take a little time off from buses for a little while. And I started working as a consultant to the theater community, who was becoming increasingly interested in tourism. And I'd made my living in tourism since well, before I'd care to talk about at this point, quite a long time. And one of the first projects that came up was a very interesting show called Harlem Song at the Apollo Theater. And I started off as a consultant for that show. What made it interesting was that it hit me in all my favorite places. One was theater, which was sort of a dormant passion of mine, and the other was New York City and economic development. So the idea was that if we could create a true Broadway quality production in Harlem, that we would be able to actually start moving some of the tourist activity into a neighborhood that at the time was sorely lacking in economic development. And we happily were able to do that. So we created this show. It was called Harlem Song, which was sort of an homage to the Harlem community of the 20s and 30s up to the present. Had a lot to do with the Apollo Theater itself. And what happened is that tourists started to come to Harlem in increasing numbers, not just to pass by in a bus, because that wasn't what our goal was, but also to get off the bus, see the show, and then go to the restaurants and go to the shops in the neighborhood. And we saw restaurant activity for about a dozen restaurants that were in close proximity to the Apollo Theater. They told us that their business went up by 40% just when that show was on. So that show lasted for about a year, which is good in theater terms, and it did its work. That was the Harlem project, and then the next project was co-founding the business that I talked about earlier called Broadway Inbound, which was designed to connect the Broadway community and the ticketing businesses, Telecharge and Ticketmaster, with the travel industry in an electronic way. And so that was a pure startup, as scary as every startup could possibly be. It's always, it always requires a big gut check when you're doing a startup, and I've done several of them now. But mercifully, the idea caught on. And when we picked up the business from Expedia, we knew we had something that was going to last. And that business grew quite a bit, then was acquired by the Shubert organization in 2005. We sold out, and I'm happily here at Shubert for the next chapter in my career, and this is the one I think will last for a long time also.
Now, as you've been here how long?
I've been here since 2005.
2005. As you sit here, what kind of ideas rush through your mind? Have any, double-decker bus, Harlem theater type of thing crossed your mind that you've tested?
The ideas that we focus on now are really how to distribute tickets in a better way, in a more streamlined way, and how to use the available technology in the service of theater, whether it's Broadway or off-Broadway. Theater is a key driver for the New York City economy and a key reason why people come to visit New York. Our job is to make sure that we can get tickets in the hands of consumers in a better, more streamlined way. And the technology that is emerging is coming at us in an astonishing pace. So we now are focusing on how we will serve consumers who want to buy with mobile tickets, who want to buy mobilely. Mobile is a very big part of what our development is now, both iPad and telephone, and that means that requires sort of a change in thinking from the way that businesses like ours have operated before, where the earliest versions of even our mobile website were all about providing all of this functionality that is on a complex transactional website that's telecharged in a very small place. Now, it's really about how to do it easily. How can you get through a ticketing purchase in 5 clicks? And that's what consumers want now, and doing that, providing a simple way for people to get what they want is not a simple thing to do. So that's sort of the focus that we're doing, that I spend my time on now, is new ways of distribution and new ways that we can also serve our shows by providing them with better information about their customers.
Charlie Flateman, Shubert Organization. Great to see you, Charlie.
Great to see you too, Charles.